Well, good morning, folks. This is Pappy Two Bears again, and I'm inviting you back on the next installment here, if you will, of what we've come to know as the rebuilding of the Sacred Lodge, and we are just about there now. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about what you see outside of the lodge and what it means to me, and try to put it all together for you. There's the door, there's the teepee, the fire is going inside, and let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in front of us. This teepee that you've been assisting me with as we've been putting it together is a whole lot more than just a simple little lodge. For me, symbolism is very important. I kind of look at it as being able to look at a symbol and jogging my memory about where my attitude is, where my thoughts are, and where I'd like to have my feet go as I walk forward. Now, as I had mentioned before, you do see my name in this door flap, and you see the two bears, that's me. And if you see the two bears, they're walking towards the center, where there's the circle, and there's the four arrows, and within that circle is a hummingbird, which for me is a symbol of the path that I like to walk in my life. The colors, of course, are significant to me because they are the colors of one of my totem birds, which is the blue jay. And blue jay we call little messenger. Blue jay is very, very similar to what the bigger messenger, the crow, does. Anyone that's ever walked in the woods or whatever, those are the two birds that usually chime out to let everyone know that somebody's there. Okay, and those are things that, to me, are significant in that if he is that observant and is willing to pass along the information to others, then perhaps I can use that as a teaching to myself to be able to symbolically say, I want to send a message to someplace. Okay? Now, the teepee itself, although functionally it was made to be just a shelter and a lodge and stuff, takes on whatever significance you want to put in it. Now, for me, as you know, this has been placed over top of my sacred circle. So for me, this is significant in that this is a symbol of my spirituality. And I want to talk about some of the symbols that you see on top of the teepee. The door flap itself, when it's down like this, says that there's sacred space inside, okay? And while that door flap is down, it's a sacred space within a sacred space. To enter that sacred space, of course, you always ask permission. And we do the same thing when we go through life, when we send up our prayers. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what the different things on this teepee mean to me. We've already talked a little bit about what the color scheme means and what the little diagrams that I put on it. As you know, I'm from the Big Lakes region up by Canada, which is the black stripe with the blue circles in it. So many big lakes, they called. Now, the teepee itself, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to roll this teepee flap up, so that's going to open up the teepee. But there's a couple of things that I'd like to show you that are significant to me. Bear with me for a second. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this teepee flap is designed in such a way that it can be rolled up. So I'm going to bounce you around a little bit as I actually roll it up. And I do apologize for bouncing this around. I don't want to make you sick. And as you can see, when it's rolled up, the ropes that are on the inside just hold it in place. Now you'll notice that underneath this is one of the teepee lacing pins. And there's a second one here, a third one here, and a fourth one here. For me, those four are significant in that it shows this red stripe, which I call walking the good red road, goes through 4 stages. And the first stage, represented by that first pin, is infancy, when we're born. And then the second one is childhood, adulthood, and then old age. But it's also significant of the 4 seasons. We have spring, summer, fall, winter, the 4 directions: east, south, west, and north. So in actuality, it says a number of things. And it reminds me of these 4 stages. And that I'm walking through those 4 stages in what I call the earth walk. Now, entering this lodge or exiting this lodge, I've asked that for myself, for that to be done in a sacred way, so that I can walk what I call the harmony path, the path of beauty. It's an attitude. It's an attitude of what it is and how I would like to walk my life. So when I send a message out or come out from outside of this teepee, I'm asking the messenger, the crow, to take my thoughts and fly with those thoughts and fly them ever higher towards the spiritual path. And that the spiritual path, with the help of the spirit helpers, will bring down perhaps the messages that I need to go forward in my life, or the reminders that I have to jog my memory of things that I should do, and then bring them back to me and bring them here where I've sent those prayers out. So I send a prayer of request out, and by we receive a message back in. And the crows are just symbolic of the messages. Let's go inside the teepee. Ducking our heads again. Oh, it's so nice and warm in here. As you see, I've started to make it a little bit more like home for me. And I wish that this video had smell-o-vision on it, because it's just wonderful in here. Warm your hands by the fire. It's about 30 degrees outside today here, and very nice and warm inside here. It's probably about, I don't know, 65, 70 maybe, and no wind. Let's bring it up just a touch. I'm going to be doing the blessing ceremony as my next step, and that won't be done today, but I wanted to take a moment to just give you a little bit of insight as to what it is I've been trying to accomplish with sharing what I've been doing with this sacred teepee. If you haven't picked it up already, you're getting an idea of who I am on a very personal and spiritual level. That everything has significance, and that's what I'm trying to bring across to everyone, is that everything is a teaching. And if it's a teaching, it can be a healing. And if it's a healing, it's about love. It's about the circle. We start from a place, we go out, we do something, and we come back and we evaluate what it is that we've done and what we've learned and how we've applied that in our lives. And that's very, very much about what I call the harmony way. Each step that you take, each little increment that you make in your life adds to who you are and adds to one of the stages of the life that you're in. Now, the stages can be very symbolic. You can actually be the child, or you can be the adult, or you can be the old age. But each situation that you get into, each learning that you get into, goes through those same stages as well. It's when you apply what you've learned and put it into action and seen the results and adjusted it accordingly so that it works out the best for you, is when you gain the wisdom of the old age. Now, when we send up our prayers, or we burn our sage or our cedar or our tobacco, and we send up the smoke, we're sending up our prayers. We're sending up our prayers with what it is that we've learned or what it is that we hope to learn. Perhaps it's understanding. Perhaps it's tolerance for something which is difficult for us. These are all parts of our earth walk. That's the way it's supposed to be. On the next video that you see, we're actually going to be doing the blessing of this place so that we can send those types of things up. I can send those types of things up because, of course, it is my lodge. But I've invited you to also be able to do that here from this sacred spot. I'm going to put something out to you, and I'd like to have your suggestions in the comments section after you've watched this video. I'm looking for a name for this lodge. I have one that's coming to me a little bit, but I want to put it out there for all that have been following. This little spot that we have here that we're going to be coming together from time to time, I would like to invite you all to put in your suggestions, knowing what it's going to be used for and knowing how it's going to be dedicated to use, what you think might be a good name. And then when we do the blessing ceremony and do the lodge awakening ceremony, the lodge will have a new name. Until that time, remember that as you put the earth walk together in your life, you're wearing the robe. Just like the lodge pole of this teepee holds the cover in place, so it is that the spirit within us holds in place the earth robe that we walk here on this material plane. It's the spiritual part of us that's the important part, because it holds everything else together. So I ask that you explore your own spirituality in whatever means that you feel is appropriate for you and feels comfortable for you, and use it. It was a great and wonderful gift that's been given to us. Until we come back together, I would like to extend my blessings to you all, my prayers for your well-being, that you stay warm as the seasons change, and that you keep happiness in your heart. Because when you smile outwardly to people, you're spreading your joy. And when you spread your joy, you're in good relations with all things around you. This is Pappy Two Bears. I'll be glad to have you come back and sit next to my fire sometime soon.